way. Kick-off fast approaching at Vicarage Road, where Watford entertain Manchester United. The Hornets down in 17th, 2 points above the drop zone. United in 6th, 5 points adrift of the top 4. Both sides come into this on the back of a defeat. Both sides have made 3 changes. Watford were beaten 1-0 at Arsenal. Their changes are Adam Messina, Imran Louza and Tom Cleverley starting. Ozan Turan, Danny Rhodes on the bench. Juraj Kuka, of course, suspended. United lost 2-0 to Manchester City. The changes, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho and Nemanja Matic start, with Fred, Mason Greenwood and Eric Bailly making way. Kick-off fast approaching at Vicarage Road, where Watford entertain Manchester United. The Hornets down in 17th, 2 points above the drop zone. United in 6th, 5 points adrift of the top 4. Both sides come into this on the back of a defeat. Both sides have made 3 changes. Watford were beaten 1-0 at Arsenal. Their changes are Adam Messina, Imran Louza and Tom Cleverley starting. Ozan Turan, Danny Rhodes on the bench. Juraj Kuka, of course, suspended. United lost 2-0 to Manchester City. The changes, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho and Nemanja Matic start, with Fred, Mason Greenwood and Eric Bailly making way. Kick-off fast approaching at Vicarage Road, where Watford entertain Manchester United. The Hornets down in 17th, 2 points above the drop zone. United in 6th, 5 points adrift of the top 4. Both sides come into this on the back of a defeat. Both sides have made 3 changes. Watford were beaten 1-0 at Arsenal. Their changes are Adam Messina, Imran Louza and Tom Cleverley starting. Ozan Turan, Danny Rhodes on the bench. Juraj Kuka, of course, suspended. United lost 2-0 to Manchester City. The changes, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho and Nemanja Matic start, with Fred, Mason Greenwood and Eric Bailly making way. Kick-off fast approaching at Vicarage Road, where Watford entertain Manchester United. The Hornets down in 17th, 2 points above the drop zone. United in 6th, 5 points adrift of the top 4. Both sides come into this on the back of a defeat. Both sides have made 3 changes. Watford were beaten 1-0 at Arsenal. Their changes are Adam Messina, Imran Louza. Well, a warm welcome along to our coverage of the action taking place at Vicarage Road. Watford against Manchester United, of course. Watford down in 17th. They've got relegation issues immediately in front of them. They're only 2 points clear of Burnley in 18th. They're only 7 points behind Manchester United, of course, but Manchester United in 6th are now 5 points adrift of the top 4. That 4th place currently occupied Liverpool, Arsenal in 5th, and of course those 2 sides play this evening. So it is a chance to at least close the gap. They can go above Arsenal with a victory into 5th. But both sides coming into this perhaps not in the best of form. Manchester United, of course, soundly beaten by Manchester City, even if the scoreline didn't necessarily reflect that. Watford edged out in the last couple of games, actually, since that 5-2 victory at Everton. Match is underway. Just going through the teams, both sides have made 3 changes. Cleverley, Messina and Louza coming in for Watford, with Turan, Kuka and Rose making way. Manchester United make 3 changes as well. Matic, Sancho and Rashford start. They revert to a back 4. Bailly, Greenwood and Fred are the ones to miss out today. Myself, Rob Eddy and Steve Pearson taking you through this one. And I suppose ordinarily you might say this is a Manchester United victory.
Yes, but there's got to be a reaction, hasn't there? We've already talked about that in terms of what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was saying in his press conference during the week. He's got to see a reaction to his side. There's got to be a big one as well, because this is a Watford team that will harry, will try and get in front early on, put the pressure on this United side. You look down the 2 lineups, there's not too many goals in either lineup, really, is there, in terms of Premier League chances so far. So both will have a nervousness coming into this game, and Watford will see this as not quite the free hit that you would normally say. I would put it that way. In that sense, I think they'll fancy the chances of at least a point in this game. Yeah,
their home record is actually a little bit worse than their away record. They've only scored 4 goals and conceded 11 at Vicarage Road. 1-1 drawn, 1 lost, 3. Of course, the goal stats are skewed a little bit away from home with that surprise 5-2 win at Everton. But they won a couple on the road. No draws, 4 defeats. Scored 8, conceded 8. I mean, that's Watford, so they've got to start trying to make Vicarage Road a little bit more of a fortress if they want to pull away from the drop zone. Of course, Manchester United had a fantastic away record for a long time, but they've just been poor in recent matches. Trying to remember the last good match they had, actually, but even though they've won games, they haven't necessarily impressed. Thinking of a couple in the Champions League. Spurs was a bit of an anomaly, really, but they got played off the park by Liverpool and Man City, two teams that are going for the title. Ball over the top of Manchester United, it's too far and it's through to Ben Foster, but it's just Manchester United are just bang out of form. They can't defend, they're not necessarily scoring, although Cristiano Ronaldo is, and he of course could be a key player in this lineup today.
Yeah, I think that's the concern for United, isn't it? As you say, it's lack of consistency, lack of quality at times. There's been sparks, there's certainly been life in there, but you look at the table, you look at the way the games have gone. At the moment, in terms of that top six, they're a second-tier team, aren't they? You know, they're behind those other sides, and it seems to be quite a big step at the moment. And again, we've said this before about United 2 or 3 times this season. It's a good set of individuals, it's not a good team at the moment, and they're getting found out by the better sides, and sides like Watford are the ones who could cause them a problem. They shouldn't, as you said, looking at the team lineups, absolutely no question they shouldn't, because of the quality in the United side. But Watford are a team under Ranieri who've got a bit of identity back, who've got a settled way of playing, will play to their system well, and if they play sharply and quickly and get in front, then the nerves start to jangle.
Yeah, just obviously forgetting Liverpool and Man City. United have lost the young boys, they've lost to West Ham, they've lost to Villa, they've lost to Leicester. I say Leicester because they're bang out of form this season. And of course they've obviously capped those defeats off with pretty one-sided victories for Liverpool and Manchester City. Scraped one against Atalanta, but there's been a break. Obviously the coaching staff might have got things together. Nothing's happened in the game. It's been quite long ball, really. Not much time in possession for either side. Neither side has taken a grip, so it's quite a scrappy start to the game, coming up to about 4 minutes played. Certainly no efforts at goal, and it's symptomatic of, I suppose, of what we've been talking about. Nerves, there certainly will be nerves for both sides, because they obviously aren't playing well. Obviously Claudio Ranieri, top baptism of fire for him. 5-0 defeat to Liverpool. I don't know where that 5 goals came from. Here could be a chance for Jadon Sancho to get through. No, the pass is just too straight from the Nemanja Matic. That's gone straight through to Ben Foster again. So Watford back in possession. Those 5 goals against Everton for Watford, I don't know where they came from, because obviously they've since been beaten 1-0 by Southampton, 1-0 by Arsenal, and goals look as though they could be the problem for the Hornets. Yeah,
they certainly are. I mean, you look down the lineup today, there's only actually 3 players who've scored in the Premier League so far out of the 10 outfield players for Watford. So immediately you see the problem. As you say, a lot of those were scored against Everton all in one go. The Everton game just suited their style, didn't it? You know, it's particularly in the second half. They got into a stage where they could attack on the break quickly, swiftly. Everton were pushing forward, leaving gaps, played perfectly into Watford's hands. Other sides haven't played that way, and it's interesting that United at the moment are really pushing too far forward with Rashford and with Sancho and Fernandes. They're sitting in a little bit in midfield, just making sure that those gaps aren't there, but also not putting too much pressure straight away on the Watford defence at this stage to try and stop those gaps over the top, because that's what Watford were looking for. First couple of minutes of the game, banging balls out towards Dennis on one side, towards Sarr on the other, looking for the gaps in between the full-backs at the moment, because Shaw and Wan-Bissaka are sitting in. They know that's going to come. Simple for United to deal with it first 5 minutes. Goal elsewhere, by the way. Southampton now lead by a goal to 0 against Norwich.
Could be a chance here for Watford. Ball into the box. Oh, it's stabbed wide of the goal, but it's going to be a penalty. King was running through. He was bundled over from behind by Lindelof. He went down. There was still a shot coming in from Dennis. That was wide of the post. 6 yards out. This all stemmed from a Manchester United throw-in. It's poor, really, from them. John Moss, the referee, has pointed to the spot. He's been surrounded by both sets of players. It ultimately led to Dennis putting the ball wide, but John Moss went to the spot. It was an awful ball up in the air from Bruno Fernandes, it was. He was just trying to volley it downfield. He sliced it, and then Scott McTominay going down has made contact with King. The ball still came to Dennis. He put the ball wide. Penalty spot was pointed to by John Moss, but I think VAR is going to get involved, but this looks a penalty.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough to overturn it in that sense. McTominay has got eyes on the ball, but then he starts to stumble and he leans into the player, puts an arm round him. there's not a massive amount of contact on King, but King will make the most of that, as you'd expect. But McTominay gets lost, and as I say, I don't think there's enough to overrule this. And the referee's quite right. Try and play on, see if there's an advantage. The advantage doesn't come, and therefore Watford will have the chance from the spot. And Ismail Assar has already picked up the ball and is wandering forward to take it.
Yeah, it's interesting that they got the shot at goal and the penalty decision. I suppose he might have blown the whistle before the shot was taken, but it is a penalty, and Watford have a chance in the 8th minute to take the lead. Sarr, it's saved by the keeper. The follow-up shot is put in, so Watford have taken the lead. It's a good strike in the end from Kiko Femenia, I think it was, from a tight angle. It was a poor penalty, really, from Sarr, but obviously it was saved by David De Gea. The rebound's been tucked home. Watford have the lead.
Yeah, too quick on the rebound, wasn't he, for everybody else around him on that occasion. Kiko, they'll check to make sure he was outside the penalty area when the kick was taken. I think that's what John Moss is just having a word in his ear to make sure that the player was outside the penalty area. We'll see from the replay when it's taken. Sarr takes it, he's inside the box. This could get pulled back because Kiko is inside the penalty area. I think when the kick is taken, he starts to move. It was a poor penalty, decent stop by De Gea. But if you look again here, yeah, just in. He took a step or two inside. Be interesting to see if this is ruled out, because for me, he's inside the box. I don't think any United players were as it came in.
Yeah, I think it's quite weird, that, isn't it? Because it's only about one stride, but it is inside the box. Was David De Gea on the line, though? All these things get taken out. They're checking for possible encroachment. They're not necessarily checking for David De Gea at the moment, but they're going to look at all angles. So VAR's looking into this penalty. The penalty itself was saved. The man who's putting the rebound is possibly encroaching, though, and I guess if you look at penalties that have to be retaken because the keeper's off his line, he doesn't have to be off his line by very much. So if he's a stride in, I think they're going to has he pointed to the pot?
I think it's a retake on the basis that they were. If that's the case, I think it's because there's also the keeper off the line. So there's two fouls, as it were, in that sense, that kind of cancel each other out. I think that's what Maguire is. I think that's the case. You're now testing my memory in terms of penalty rules, but I think that's probably the case. But I need to see a replay again. As I was only looking at Kiko on the replay because I knew there was a suggestion he may have gone in early because of the reaction of the Manchester United players. But I think it's a case of one each in that sense. But I need to see the replay again to see whether De Gea was off his line. Quickly, goals elsewhere, by the way. Palace lead at Burnley by 1-0. Norwich 1, Southampton 1 is now the score as well at Carrow Road. And Newcastle have just gone in front against Brentford 1-0.
Looks like Sarr's going to take the retaken penalty. Now, the VAR screen said checking for encroachment. I thought that'd be ruled out, but it's going to be a retaken penalty. And so it's second time that Sarr's going to try and beat David De Gea from the spot. He's got the same way and it's saved again. Oh, and Maguire is then getting in the way of Shaw. That was almost getting in each other's way. So desperate to make the clearance, but David De Gea has saved the second penalty. And it's hammered away. I think it's for a corner.
Yeah, they will check again to look for encroachments, to look for off the line. I don't think he's off the line. Looking at the replay behind, I think he's still got a foot down to here. It's confirmed. Corner comes in. Flick header from Sissoko off a defender and behind. All action at the moment, but it remains, as we said, Watford 0, Manchester United 0. And as you said, I don't think it was a particularly good penalty in that sense. It's almost like he couldn't decide whether to go left or down the middle. He kind of puts it between the two, and De Gea, decent stop from him, reacts quickly to push it away. Second corner for Watford.
Yeah, it swung in a little bit deeper this time. It's bouncing away through the far post. No, half hat clear. Now the break is on potentially for Manchester United. Ronaldo is looking for Jadon Sancho through the middle, but he just couldn't quite get his body in the right place to get enough power behind the ball, because it was noticeable there was lots of Watford players desperate to get back. If that ball had been better, if it had been behind the last man, Sancho is running clean through from inside his own half effectively. But Watford were able to deal with it. But if Manchester United needed a wake-up call, then they got one. Obviously, Watford have twice missed an opportunity to go in front. We were talking about their goals, and I have to admit, I can't remember the last Watford penalty, so I don't know if Sarr would be the usual penalty taker. I mean, I guess in this lineup, Watford possibly don't get many penalties, but I find that an interesting call that Sarr was taking the penalty and he took the second penalty as well.
Well, he got the confidence, didn't he? Say straight away, he picked up the ball, he was straight in. Here comes Ronaldo, though, for United. Come back to that in a second.
Yeah, down the left-hand side. He tries to go around the outside of Cathcart, but Cathcart gets the block in. This will be a Manchester United corner. They haven't offered much threat, but now there's a little bit more urgency about both sets of players, particularly Manchester United. Steve mentioned they were sitting in and not letting space in behind, but now the 2 penalties have been saved. There's suddenly breaking in numbers and with pace. Corner to Manchester United is going to be taken by Luke Shaw on the left, so an away swinger. McTominay and Maguire lurking around the penalty spot. I think McTominay's more of a blocker. Corner comes in, it's not cleared, it bounces twice in the 18-yard box before eventually it's hacked away. And then Luke Shaw, the referees play the advantage. Luke Shaw and a Watford player can't quite see it down, but Sancho has the ball. So it's no foul. Both players are now back up. And Watford, is it Sarr? Sprint.
Dennis. It is, it's madness, isn't it, at the moment? Luke Shaw's gone down again. In that sense, he's, as I say, he was certainly injured. I think he took a bit of a whack to the top of the leg in that sense, but I don't think the same was true of Dennis. The way that he jumped up, the Nigerian was straight away down the line, and he was off and away before anything could change from that point of view. Shaw is back onto his feet, doesn't need any treatment at the moment, but maybe one just to keep an eye on as the game continues.
Yes, a little bit frenetic, the spell, as it's Manchester United in possession under a little bit of pressure. Sissoko trying to force a mistake from Wan-Bissaka. King's caught from McTominay from behind. Legally, he got the ball. McTominay didn't see him coming. Unfortunately, Watford can't make the best of that. It's an early ball downfield to Marcus Rashford, who hasn't seen much of it so far, but he's left edge of the box, trying to go around one man. He has. He's got to the byline, fires in a left-footed cross. It's low, comes out to Fernandes. Complete air shot from him on the half volley. The bounce took it over his foot. Of course, it was him who effectively assisted the penalty with an awful clearance from outside his own box, a big up and under back into it, and McTominay was the wrong side of King, so he'll be a little bit relieved at the moment. But Manchester United, in truth, haven't got anything going so far, as McTominay sidestep one challenge, plays it through to Rashford, who for many has marked him really well. He guessed the first touch, then dispossessed Rashford. He might have been coming from an offside position anyway. This will be a free kick to Watford just outside their own box, but yeah, the pace. Both players now, both sets of players are really stepping up. Manchester United have been a little bit more aggressive than what they were pre-penalty, and both managers are on their feet barking out some instructions, but certainly encouragement. I know it's a bit of a kick in the teeth when he missed 2 penalties, but the fact that they're getting into these positions, creating problems, I know it came from a United mistake, but the sort of setting into the United back four when they've got the ball quite quickly, they're trying to make the back four give the ball away, and it's worked to a degree.
It has, absolutely. As I say, it was a terrible clearance away that caused the problem. It was the pressure again from Watford up quickly. You think about it, 15 minutes, how many times have we seen United with any spell of possession away from maybe 25, 30 yards from their own box? They're at it again here. Maguire and Matic trying to find a way out. 3 Watford players all around them. Matic now has finally turned round and found 2 yards of space every way he turns, but has only got the ball square to Wan-Bissaka. So Watford working incredibly hard. King's took it off. It might be a foul. Referee says not. Watford come away.
Yeah, King feeding it to Sarr just down the outside of the D. He tried a no-look reverse pass, faking the shot, didn't quite work. It sort of trickled behind King, and was making that run in behind Harry Maguire. But again, half an opportunity there for Watford. Ultimately comes to nothing, and Luke Shaw has it for the visitors on the halfway line. Matic, one of the 3 changes. Fred, the man that he's displaced in the starting 11. No Mason Greenwood in the matchday squad today, incidentally. He's a player who dropped out. Just a reminder, the other scores as Wan-Bissaka just plays that through to Ben Foster. Watford back in possession. Chelsea pretty much eased to a 3-0 victory at Leicester City in the early game. It's still goalless Villa Brighton. Palace 1-up at Burnley. Newcastle Brentford is now 1-1, as is Norwich Southampton. Wolves West Ham is still goalless, and somehow Watford Manchester United is still goalless. If you didn't know, just joining us, Watford have missed 2 penalties. Both penalties were saved in the same incident, although in between the Femenia blasted home a rebound to what he thought was put Watford in front, but that was ruled out for encroachment. Penalty was retaken, and David De Gea saved Sarr's effort for the second time. So Watford having the early chances, and they've got the early possession as well, in truth, into the 18th minute, and Manchester United haven't seen much of it, as King just gives the ball away. At the moment he's playing on the left. Manchester United give it away as well though, and here is King onto his right foot, shot blocked by Lindelof. Only as far as Sissoko works it out to the left edge. Cross comes in, it's low, and it beat 2 defenders but not the third, Harry Maguire. Another cross comes in from the left, it's a deeper one this time. Luke Shaw wins the aerial battle, and now Rashford has it for Manchester United, looking for Ronaldo on the halfway line. He only finds Cathcart, who pumps it back into the United box straight away, cleared this time by McTominay, and Manchester United back in possession. All of Manchester United's possession is probably within 20 yards of their own 18-yard box. They can't get out at the moment. Credit to Watford for that. I guess it'll be a question mark whether Watford can sustain that sort of pressure.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, if you're going to sit McTominay and Matic in front of the back four, try and block things off to stop Watford from getting possession through the centre, fair enough. But at the moment, what it's doing is it means there's no outlet for Manchester United, because the 2 wing-backs or the 2 full-backs aren't willing to push further forward, so they're not finding the space. At the moment, there's no width from Sancho or from Rashford. Rashford too many times is finding himself in a central position where it's too cluttered, so there's no out ball so far. There's going to be a yellow card as well here for a challenge. Just trying to see who it was who actually put the challenge. It must be McTominay, because he's the one on the screen. We'll see again. Yeah, it goes over the top. May get a touch on the ball as he lunges in, but it is a stretch. And Dennis, he goes right on the top of the player, and straight away free kick, yellow card, automatic these days.
Yeah, probably have a look at that. It's not necessarily what you'd think is an ordinary red card challenge. He got him twice though, didn't he? The trailing leg coming through as well, but I don't think there's any malice. A sliding challenge, still allowed to a degree, as Dennis is back on his feet, so he's fine to continue. I can tell you Burnley have got an equaliser as well, so there's 3 1-all scores. Burnley Palace, Newcastle Brentford, Norwich Southampton. The rest still goalless. 6 games at 3 o'clock. Another free kick to Watford. High position left-hand side of the pitch, but maybe only 30 yards from goal, as it's fizzed in. Oh, and it's all bouncing through again. Not one United defender's taking charge, and maybe Watford were leaving it to each other. And I know that looked a good ball in, and ultimately nobody's got a touch on it.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. It's happened 2 or 3 times now. There was 2 corners and that one as well, where no United player dealt with the ball. They're so busy fighting with players, pushing, shoving, finding space, whatever else. Nobody's actually attacking the ball itself. Led to a free header from a corner that got blocked wide. The second corner came in, everybody missed it. That free kick the same. If this keeps happening, particularly a little closer, De Gea won't come for it. The defence have got to deal with it. Watford will see these as great chances in the box from these set pieces.
Yeah, into the 21st minute. Ball diagonal from left to right for Watford, looking for Sarr. Sarr can't control, and it bounces into touch. Throwing Manchester United, but again, they're deep inside their own half. Well, midpoint maybe, left-hand side. As Shaw is again caught. This time, I think it was Sarr. He's been involved in 3 little incidents, Luke Shaw. I'm not saying it should be a free kick, but of course he's had 1 or 2 injuries, and that's the 3rd time he's been on the end of something, and he just got up a little bit gingerly. Shake of the hands with Sarr, so no malice there, but it'll be a little bit of a worry for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and of course Luke Shaw himself. Free kick to Manchester United, again deep inside their own half, 20 yards from their own goal line. Maguire fires it up to the feet of Fernandes, who somehow controlled it back to Matic. Not sure if that was a miscontrol and got lucky, or a cushion pass. Difficult to work out, but McTominay has it on the halfway line. Bit of space for Shaw on the left, bringing it forward now. He's got Rashford outside him, eventually feeds his England colleague onto his right foot, cross deep towards the far post. Sancho keeps it alive. Cathcart heads it away from the edge of the 6-yard box. Sancho couldn't do any better than that. It was just a little bit too deep. The initial ball from Marcus Rashford as Sarr and Dennis combined to win the ball away. I thought that might have been a tug on the jersey. Could be spaced down the right for Sarr now. He's found, tried to reverse it back to the far post towards Dennis as United got caught cold there. It's blocked by the legs of Maguire, but that looked a good break from Watford. Just didn't quite find that final ball.
Yeah, what a ball from King into Sarr. He just lost a little bit of pace. You can see what he could see. You can see Dennis on the far side. Maguire's fortunate that the trailing leg is there to block it. He played at it, Maguire. I'm not saying he just hit him. He didn't, but he was in the right place at the right time. But what a superb ball it was. But again, the outlet is there for United, and Shaw gets forward, they suddenly find space, but then as soon as the transition comes, Watford are away. That's where the goals came from against Everton.
Here's a ball coming in from the left, and again it's bouncing around, could be an opportunity. It's fired towards goal by King. It's blocked, not by the keeper, just by the sheer volume of defenders in and around the 6-yard box. It's still alive, right hand side. A bit of space for Mania on that right hand side, looking for an option, can't quite find the space. He's dispossessed in the end. It was a loser actually in that right wing position. Another awful clearance from Manchester United. This time it's, well, I say this time, it's still